Well, I know exactly why the Vatican has covered up the Orion Nebula like they have for so long. See, in 1511, when Michelangelo created this picture of the creation of Adam, see, this was about 100 years before they even had a telescope to see up in the sky. But once they were able to do it, magically, people like Galileo and everybody else completely missed the Orion Nebula. And records, if you go to seds.org, says that the Orion Nebula, all the records got, quote, lost for some time. In fact, it was probably a good 50 or more years before somebody even picked it up and said anything about it. And Harvard has an article out there called Orion Nebula, Where in History Is It? Because it has a very mysterious history. And I think I know why now. I believe that the Vatican, and I don't think they had Hubble quality, but I bet you they had enough to be able to see the inner part of the mind. Because I think when they looked up into the sky and they saw the Orion Nebula, I think that they said, this looks a lot like the creation of Adam that Michelangelo did for us, and we need to keep this under the hat. Plus, we can't have anybody else believing anything else out there besides what we have told them for so long. Now, I decided to go back and clean this up a little bit. I used the full color version of Hubble that you see right here. And folks, this is the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my entire life. It is like, I think it's completely undeniable, and it is down to the smallest detail. So, let me just show you here real quick. Now, just before I show you the good picture, I wanted to remind you of this part. This area that you see right here, this triangular area, well, that's the trapezium right here. And that's pointed to as the pineal gland. And if you notice, the medical diagram points to the exact same location here and here, which happens to be this vortex right in the center of the Orion Nebula trapezium. This is why the trapezium is so important, because this is some kind of a mind of a higher consciousness. This pineal...
That's the black hole sun.
Gland, I believe, is important, and I think it has something to do with our history. But now I want to show you just how ridiculously, this is almost exactly the same. It's just amazing. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Check this out. Now, what you're seeing right here is you're seeing the Hubble, and then this is an overlay where I overlay the brain and the Orion Nebula together, and then the brain. So you can basically run your eyes all the way through and see the same things. If you notice where the cerebellum and the pons is, how it creates this arc right here in the brain, I'm going to kind of point out some of the details just so you can see how amazing all of this is. So this arc that you see right here, well, if you notice on the Orion Nebula, that same arc is right here. You can see it's darker right here, okay? But all of the pieces of this thing are here, and we'll dig down into it a little bit lower here. So let's take a look at this part first. So right here is the Corpus Callosum, and probably the ventricles also are mixed in with this as well. And as you can see, that triangular region right here that's dark, that's where this trapezium is, and that's also where the pineal gland was located in the last diagram. So this is exactly where the pineal gland is. And you're going to notice also that right here, remember that little cavity I was telling you about, that dark triangular cavity? Okay. And you remember see the little pointed looking arrow looking thing? And that basically, look at the way that overlays on top of this right here. Look at that. It's almost a perfect match. This is the Optic Chiasm, and here's an overlay with that triangular region right here. This is all it fits like a glove. Look at that. I don't think there's any mistake at all that this is actually a brain that we're looking at out here. Have you ever seen anything like this in your entire life? This is very detailed, down to the most minute curves and everything that we're seeing right here. With the optic chiasm, all the parts of the brain are here. The only thing that we don't really see is the gray matter, but that's what this basically is up here. And then look at this right here. I've got this picture showing all of these little nerve endings come out. Well, this does the same thing down here. This is the most amazing thing I have ever seen, and it fits like a glove. Once it overlays, everything, even down to this little optic chiasm, fits right in this triangular region. It's all perfect. What we're looking at right here, folks, is the exact reason why the Orion Nebula has been covered up, and this definitely explains some of the stuff that I have been finding. I think it completely validates the whole thing with Michelangelo now. And so now we're really kind of getting a little bit better picture of reality. Absolutely the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So take this, share it, let everybody know about this. I think this is extremely important and revolutionary. I mean, this changes everything. And a lot of questions get raised. But I mean, truly, this, I believe that this area is conscious. And you know, there's a lot of biblical passages about this area too. You know, Sechem that made the Orion and the Pleiades. Well, nebula is a place for stars. This makes stars, so it's quite possible that it made the stars in Orion. And I've already shown you a graph before that shows how the stars on a smooth path continually get younger as they reach the Orion Nebula. It only makes sense that the Orion Nebula made the stars in Orion. So I don't know what all this means, and I believe that there's many layers of this, just like I believe this, there's layers above this, probably the galaxy above this, and then galaxy clusters, and so on and so on. So this is just like when we go to sleep and dream at night, for example, we create a world in our head. So, I mean, this opens up like all kinds of questions. For example, could this be creating or possibly creating a reality mentally that we're a part of? Because the reason I ask that is because of the way that the trapezium and things like that match on the planet. And the way that I think this is the reason why the Egyptians revered Orion as much as they did. They knew about this. See, the Egyptians also